Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Monmouth County. My name is Angie Morfogan, and my pronouns are she and her. I serve as a member of the worship committee and chair of the aesthetics committee, and we bring you art shows and seasonal decor. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. Our mission is to create community, transform ourselves, and transform the world. I draw your attention to the back side of your orders of service for announcements and service information for next week. For those of you on the live stream and for video viewers, the order of service link is available to you in the YouTube service description box. After the service, refreshments will be served in the community room, and people of all ages are welcome to visit with one another. If you are new to us, please do check out our website, uucmc.org, where you can sign up to get all the latest news of the congregation by email. We look forward to getting to know you better. Please put your devices on silent as we enter into worship together. Welcome again to this place of love and hope.
Good morning, everybody. I'll be playing Eusebius by Robert Schumann. This piece and many pieces and many of Schumann's articles were paired together, Eusebius and Florestan. I'm only doing Eusebius. Florestan's a bit intense. They were sort of his dichotomy. One was softer and gentler, and one was more masculine and more intense. Eusebius is the more effeminate one. He referred to them a lot in his life, in his music, and in his reviews and writing. Robert Schumann was one of the first real intense music critics as well. He started a journal and he wrote a lot. In his time, many people did not know what they meant, and historical scholarship looks at them as those, what I'd mentioned, the traditional masculine and feminine. As we look back, we know that we probably think it was some bipolar that Robert Schumann had. He did suffer from a lot of, unfortunately, mental illness, and he was, and his ever-patient and wildly talented wife, Clara Schumann, who took care of him and the kids and was a phenomenal pianist and composer, too. But also, I think it represents, for me, how Schumann had to reconcile all these facets of his personality. They steal from each other. It's like the literary foil, where they're more alike than they are different. And they're a part of a spectrum in it. And I won't get too much into, but how he referred to, he would say Mr. Raro. Raro was the uniting of these two, Florestan and Eusebius. Some think it is his love with Clara, but it was how he reconciled that and how he sought to live with both dualities. And so I chose this today for today's service because we do insist on rationalizing things by dualism with dichotomy, but like color and tone and gender and personality and the way we work, it's a spectrum. Like Florestan, Eusebius and Florestan, they are a spectrum that need one with each other and are a long continuum, like a yin and yang. So I will be playing this, Eusebius.
I'm the Reverend Dr. Craig Rubano, he, him, his. Thank you for joining us this morning, here in the Earth Room, on the live stream, and or whenever you will have chosen to view this service from among our YouTube library selections. Eid Mubarak to our Muslim siblings in spirit, celebrating the end of Ramadan, the feast of Eid al-Fitr, with a special word of prayer for those celebrating in Gaza, in the rubble of their former lives. May the celebratory spirit of Eid inspire a once and for all return of all Israeli hostages and an end to this merciless conflict. This is the final Sunday of Women's History Month, something we will celebrate later in the morning with the Sister Singers under the direction of our music director emerita, Elaine Held. It is the third Sunday in our annual pledge campaign centered in love, living our values, gathering your promises to continue your affiliation with this congregation and to continue or to begin supporting UUCMC with your time, your talent, and your money. We will hear 2 stewardship testimonials this morning. Other than building rental income, you are the only source of financial support for everything we do here. The members of UUCMC own this place, literally. And a few dedicated volunteers will have to follow up with you if you don't send in your pledge during this 4 weeks of the campaign. So please do so. We are living into our monthly congregational theme when we trust that you will do your part, as you always have, to make UUCMC happen for another year. One beautiful way that we build trust in one another is through our Covenant Circle small group ministry, where the theme of the month is discussed in a loving, open, and confidential setting. So current participants, please make every effort to attend the remaining meetings of your groups. Covenant Circles don't work if their members fail to attend the gatherings. Trust. Trust, this time spelled T-R-U-U-S-T, is also the acronym for Transgender Religious UU Professionals Together, a group of trans and non-binary people living out calls to ministry within Unitarian Universalism, whose mission is to celebrate gender diversity, honor the spiritual gifts of trans leaders, fight for justice and liberation for trans people, and welcoming people of all or no genders as full participants in spiritual community. Finding such a home is hard at all times, but especially in the current political climate, which has, with epic cynicism, made pawns of trans folk. We are sorry that Susan Boyce cannot be here this morning to talk about the work she is engaging on behalf of trans healthcare. She is in New York as her son faces some health struggles, and she asks that we hold them all in our hearts this morning. We are thrilled that Melissa Faley will share from her experience later in the service. Our call to worship, with the word worship understood in its original meaning of a shaping concern for all that is of worth, comes to us from the Reverend Sharon Wiley, the called minister of Chalice UU in Escondido, California. Reverend Wiley wrote these words specifically for what will be celebrated all over the world tomorrow, March 31st, the International Transgender Day of Visibility. We speak so often of brokenness in religious life. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, all of you, every part of you, beautiful, just the way you are. Here you do not need to be something more or something less, no holding back, no hiding, no exerting yourself, no trying to do more or be more. You have inherent worth and dignity. Nothing to prove here, nothing to prove to me, or the person sitting next to you, or to the children, or to anyone. You don't have to try to be witty, or more quiet, or more outgoing. You are beautiful. Every part of you beautiful just the way you are. You do not need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful, just the way you are. You are extraordinary, each and every one of you, different from each other and beautiful in your own beautiful way. Breathtaking. Come, let us worship together. The organization Pink Haven Coalition, about which Susan Boyce will speak to us on another Sunday, is a coalition of groups and individuals focused on getting gender-diverse people the health care they need. Often, nowadays, requiring relocation of families to states which have not succumbed to federally sponsored terror. The symbol of our faith movement, the flame inside a chalice, was created for just such a transfer across borders. The Unitarian Service Committee's work of getting people targeted by the Nazi regime across borders to neutral and or welcoming territory. When we light our chalice to signify the creation of sacred space by our gathering, let us not forget the dangerous circumstances and vital purposes for which the symbol was given birth. I invite Iris Martin to light our chalice flame this morning. Our chalice lighting words are written by the Minister of Arts for the Unitarian Universalist Association, the Reverend Erica Hewitt. The chalice, as a symbol of Unitarian Universalism, arose as a beacon of hope in an atmosphere of tyranny. The chalice arose as a sign of promise that the marginalized would neither be forgotten nor ignored because they are beloved and precious from the perspective of the holy. This morning, we remember all of the people who have been told explicitly or implicitly through police violence or government policy, through derision or dehumanization, that they're anything less than whole, anything less than beloved. As we light this chalice, may we make of our lives a beacon, a symbol of our promise to draw the circle wide, a sign that we will not rest until all means all. Thank you, Iris. Our opening hymn's lyrics follow directly from Reverend Hewitt's words, "Break not the circle of ennobling love." Number 323 in the hymnal and on the screens. You may rise in body and or spirit. Michael will play it through once before we sing it together.
Today we're going to hear a story about something really important, being yourself. Have you ever felt really happy when you got to be exactly who you are? Maybe when you wore your favorite outfit, played your favorite game, or shared something special about yourself with a friend. Our story today is It Feels Good to Be Yourself by Teresa Thorne and illustrated by Noah Grigney. It's about how people understand and express who they are, whether they're a boy, a girl, both, or neither. However we feel inside, being true to ourselves is something to celebrate. This is Ruthie. She's a transgender girl. That means when she was born, everyone thought she was a boy, until she grew a little older, old enough to tell everyone she's actually a girl. Girl is Ruthie's gender identity. This is Ruthie's brother, Xavier. Xavier is a cisgender boy. That means when Xavier was born, everyone thought he was a boy. And as he grew older, it turned out everyone was right. He is a boy. Boy is Xavier's gender identity. There are so many different ways to be a boy or a girl, too many to fit in a book, but not everyone feels like either a boy or a girl. Non-binary is a helpful word that can describe a person who doesn't feel exactly like a boy or girl. This is Ruthie's friend Alex. Alex is both a boy and a girl. When Alex was born, everyone thought Alex was a girl, but Alex is both boy and girl. This is Alex's gender identity. This is Alex's friend JJ. JJ is neither a boy nor a girl. Ever since JJ was very little, they never felt exactly like a boy or a girl. They just felt like themselves. This is JJ's gender identity. Alex and JJ are both non-binary. Just like there are many different ways to be a boy or a girl, there are many different ways to be non-binary. Too many to put in a book. Some kids feel like girls, some kids feel like boys, some kids feel a little bit of both, part boy, part girl. Some kids don't feel exactly like a boy or a girl. They feel like neither. Some kids feel like their gender identity isn't always the same. It's often changing. And even with all these possible ways to be, some people don't feel any of the words they know fit them exactly right. There are a never-ending number of ways to be yourself in this world. Whether you feel like a boy, a girl, both, or neither, if you describe yourself another way, that is your gender identity. Your gender identity might match what people thought when you were born, or it might not. See, when you were born, you couldn't tell people who you were or how you felt. They looked at you and they made a guess. Maybe they got it right, or maybe they got it wrong. What a baby's body looks like when they're born can be a clue to what the baby's gender is, but not always. When people guess wrong, it's okay to let them know. Ruthie was 5 when she told her parents, "I know you think I'm a boy, but I really feel like a girl." Oops, Ruthie was a girl all along. They just didn't know it at first. When people guess right, it's okay to let them know. Xavier was 3.5 when he told his family, "I'm a boy. I like being a boy." You might feel like a boy. You might feel like a girl. You might feel like both boy and girl, or like neither. You might feel like your gender changes from day to day or year to year. You might feel like none of these words describes you perfectly. You might not be sure yet. Maybe you're still figuring it out. Your feelings about your gender are real. Listen to your heart. No matter what your gender identity is, you are okay exactly the way you are. And you are loved. It feels good to be yourself, doesn't it? No matter what your gender identity is, you are okay exactly the way you are. And you are loved. The end. And now let us bless our children as they go to their small groups with "Go now in peace."
My name is David Schreier. My pronouns are he and him. I serve as your congregational council moderator. I encourage you to consider making a generous pledge for the coming year to this beloved congregation of ours. You have heard from Reverend Craig and other congregational leaders in the past couple of weeks about how UUCMC relies on pledges coming from these campaigns to sustain itself each year, including enabling growth. For those of you who are either new or simply would like to become more involved with community life at this congregation, please reach out and you will find a niche where you can both see direct results of your pledge as well as make a difference by contributing your time. I am a relatively new joiner, a member here since 2023. My path to UU was probably a common one to many of you. I hail from a traditional Jewish background, but never attached with heart and soul to the religious stuff, but did feel an affinity for community efforts. I respected the choices of others to stay where they were, but felt there were too many things missing, things like inclusion, things like equality for all, and that there were too many dividing lines in that world for my taste. I found myself wanting to practice my inner faith with those who believed in Universalist ideas and to whom social justice was not a byproduct of religious faith, but a central tenet. After a short time attending services in Montclair, I knew that the UU path seemed correct for me, but it was not until retirement to the New Jersey Shore that I followed up on this interest and became a regular attendee here at Lincroft. When my daughter-in-law, Mary Beth, joined a neighboring UU congregation last year that was closer to her home than here, it felt to me like an affirmation that I had done the right thing. She has since told me that she too had been looking for something that combined social justice and attending to her spiritual needs. And what she knew of my experience here helped with her decision-making. So all in all, that was nice. Getting involved here at UUCMC has been a rewarding experience, or should I say a set of experiences. In my duties on council, I get a glimpse of what the various committees do and can attest to the need for your annual pledge and assure you that the funds are being put to good use as we all expect. While there are a number of initiatives I participate in, a couple of them stand out and I would like to share those. First, there is the writers group that meets monthly for breakfast and non-judgmental writing. I bring it up because it's a great example of the many small groups one can join here to get to know other members in a much closer setting than here at services or other similar events. Another is the Covenant Circle, just spoken about earlier. Also a very small gathering which takes a central theme relevant to UU and allows us to use this to enable trust and fellowship and provide a pathway for opening up to others. As you may have heard from many before, it is participation in the small groups that allows one to get to know others better and make one feel welcome here and become part of a larger family. One gets to see that there are lots of good people here worthy of your time and friendship. We are asked to have an elevator speech handy for describing our faith to others, but sometimes it is helpful to consult Wikipedia to refresh our memories. Given the propensity of UUers to edit, and then edit some more, I trust that its entry for Unitarian Universalists has been revised many times and must be solid and trustworthy. Why, there is even a reference to elevator speeches there. So what do I read there? Quite a bit in 3 words. I read that we are about deeds, not creeds. While it's true that we are in covenant with each other to guide our speech and actions, we have a humanistic view of the world that requires us to treat all with respect and dignity. This is indeed what we here at UUCMC are about and what we are supposed to be about. So I ask for your support in honoring these commitments now in support of the good works we do. Again, your pledge provides the assurance that this work can continue beyond the short term and allows us to plan and flourish. Thank you very much.
Non-judgmental writing, I have to remember that one, especially being in the world of academia. Boy, that would be nice. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Tom Siapa. I'm married to Stacy Abate. I will not use an adjective to describe her because the last time I did, let's just say I heard about it. My pronouns he and him. I'm serving as a VP at large. I have never stepped up into a leadership role before within the congregation. And I have to agree with David. Man, you people wordsmith, it's incredible. I never realized how many multisyllabic words there were in the English language and how many ways they could be bent into monosyllabic words and other kinds of things like that, but that's another story. Why do I give? I think that's the wrong question. I think for all of us, that's the wrong question. It's not why do I give? Let's turn it into a statement. I want to give. That's really what this is all about, all right? I want to give, all right? I want to give because this place really matters to me. And while my wife, Stacy, has been way more invested over the years on the more public side, on the private side, we do our part. And we do our part, we try to give generously every year. I understand, I teach politics for a living. I understand that everybody has different, whether it's financial, whether it's personal, whatever. Look, I get it, the price of eggs is expensive now. I get it. But the thing is here is that, as Reverend Craig said at the beginning today, none of us right now can afford not to give. It really is that serious. The world is really, Reverend Craig opened, I don't need to repeat his words. And the thing that's just so magical about this place is, the issue of not just religious freedom, but being on the board, just verbal freedom. This is a really, really magical place that we can all find our home, we can all find our setting, but it can't happen. The lights can't stay on. The building can't stay warm in the winter or cold in the summer if we don't give. And teaching politics for a living, we understand in organizational theory that, people do what they can, and that's awesome. But I would respectfully say that I think we can all do a little bit more. And I think that the times right now really demand that we do a little bit more. All right, so, real quickly, I'd love to give you this whole kind of discussion on how I wound up here. I wound up here through my wife. That's how I wound up here. And Yeah, my wife has always been, to quote a very dear colleague of mine at Brookdale who since passed on, she's always been my better 90%. And yeah, I would have loved to have made that one up. That's pretty good, isn't it? And anyway, and so I found my way through here, and I find this place magical. I find this place intriguing. I find this place thought-provoking. And to be honest with you, sometimes I find it really frustrating. But I would not have this place in my life. And I know that the only way that I can make this place stay in my life is to do my part. And whether it's financially, whether it's finally stepping up, guilty as charged, not doing what I probably should have done years ago to serve the larger community, whether it's participating sometimes in music on stage, sometimes participating in Sunday morning dialogues, that's what this place is all about. And I will close with the following thing. I preach the values of this place to the larger community through my students. I teach full-time at Brookdale, I teach part-time at Rutgers, and I love taking my students off on tangents, and one of the places I always take them off onto is religious tangents. And I can't tell you how many times UCMC just happens to come up in the conversation. And as I always say to my students, I said, we are religiously empirical people. And my students are like, what does that mean? I said, what it means is basically, it's like, we all believe in something, but we all also, though, are using our own intellectualism to try to find out what that something is. So please support what this something is. Thank you so much.
As the women get ready, I will tell you that March of the Women was written by Ethel Smythe, a British composer, who received her education at the Leipzig Conservatory, and while she was there, she was encouraged by famous composers like Grieg, Tchaikovsky, Dvorak, and most notably Brahms, whose style she clearly emulates. But not today. She received her Doctorate of Music degree at Durham University and was made a Dame of the British Empire in 1922. But in 1910, Smythe pledged to give up music for 2 years to devote herself to the cause of votes for women. March of the Women was premiered by a chorus of suffragettes at the Royal Albert Hall in 1911 and became the battle cry of the suffragette movement. Its most famous performance occurred at Holloway Prison in London in 1912. Over 100 suffragists, including Ethel Smythe, were arrested, tried, and sentenced to 2 months' imprisonment. One day, when her conductor friend, Sir Thomas Beecham, called at the prison to see how she was doing, the warden laughed and showed him the exercise yard. The suffragists were taking their exercise by singing and marching the March of the Women, while from a window overlooking the yard, Ethel Smythe conducted by vigorously waving her toothbrush.
Shout, shout, on with
I invite Melissa Faley to the pulpit.
Hello. I'm Melissa Ann Faley. I use the pronouns she, her, and hers. And I'm joined today by my wife, Justine, who also uses she, her, and hers. You can also call her Kitty. Most of you know me because I've been a UU member for many years, and you became a part of my life as chosen family, for which I am blessed to share it with you. You and UUCMC have played an important part in my life, offering love, support, acceptance, understanding, and much more at a time when it was needed. Thank you. And thank you, Craig, for giving me another opportunity to speak. For those of you who are new to my journey, I'm a middle-aged woman with transgender experience who transitioned late in life. At a time during my marriage, the birth of my beautiful daughter, Caitlin, and then handsome son, Austin, 3 years later, I realized something was different inside of me, and I had no idea what was happening. I was a father with an active life, focusing on my family, home, and career. So I suppressed the feelings, but occasionally acted on them when alone. When feelings of disgust about the growing feelings and yearning to be feminine, I sought out therapy. The ill feelings were because that is what society taught me to feel about queer people. I was raised with straight parents, surrounded by straight people. Queer was a derogatory word. It wasn't taught in school. I don't know any queer people in my life besides for what I saw on TV, which was a glimpse. And information was limited with no internet. I fit the role that was expected of me, so I was okay growing up as a straight boy. After many sessions, my therapist suggested a diagnosis that left me with saying, yes, that matches how I feel. He then introduced the word transgender and further explained it to me. I still tried to suppress it, but it's not something you can choose. So I learned to slowly embrace it. With my limited upbringing about queer people and learning about the term transgender late in life, it shows that I was not groomed, thus helping to debunk the rumor about kids being groomed. At secret meetings with other people like me, I met people with a variety of life journeys and professions, including firemen, judges, bakers, and so on. It was a critical point where my ill feelings were being replaced with pride. This is why being invisible is very important. Without it, many people go into hiding in the closet and could eventually consider self-harm and suicide. At this point, I started to rethink my childhood teachings about queer people, which continued into other subjects when I was introduced to UUCMC. I maintained my responsibilities while expressing myself at times to find balance, but that led to my wife filing for divorce and being pushed out of a 22-year career. With that, I went back into presenting as expected and expressed myself when not at work. This came with much pain. At this point, I found UUCMC where they accepted me as I am. Masculine, feminine, or a blend of the two. Eventually, I started gender-affirming care, and then after more years, I came out to my current job, who accepted me, allowing me to live authentically without suppressing myself. Life was coming together until recent times, where I find myself living in fear and sadness again, as our government is seeking to ban gender-affirming care, and erase transgender people, regardless of my legal changes. My happy sparkle presence feels dulled with a hardened edge, rage, and a monotone version that limits small talk. States are following suit by introducing 821 hate-filled bills so far in 2025, including issues that I could get arrested for when visiting these states, such as making it illegal to use a restroom that matches my gender identity, or as with Texas, even just presenting transgender. A large part of the bills also target children, and some even try to push the label as child abuse. I changed my name and gender identity legally, but didn't get a chance to update my passport. So I am not able to get a real ID for domestic travel, may not be able to vote, and live in fear of TSA detaining me for international travel, which I need to do for work. Even if I had updated my passport, they are being changed with a gender identification marker that matches your designation at birth, regardless of any legal changes. As transgender people, we don't transition to become someone else. We spend a great deal of time soul searching to realize that we need to stop pretending to be the person we are expected to be. To quote Athena Jeannie Zeter, trans and non-binary people are actually the least confused people in this society. You do not stand boldly authentic, unapologetically asserting your truth in a society that aims to erase and condemn you without knowing who exactly you are. I can't explain why I am the way I am. What I do know is that I am proud of the woman I fought to be. That, mixed with my empathy, emerging badass attitude, you get someone who will proudly and boldly be visible to fight for the rights of marginalized and queer people. Tomorrow is Transgender Day of Visibility. Without visibility from other transgender people, I don't know where I would be today, or even alive. It is important for transgender people and their allies to be visible, providing one can, so that others can see us, then use our presence to become empowered themselves, to grow pride and strength, then gather with our allies to fight hate and bigotry. Author Holly, who I found on the internet, captured the spirit of tomorrow with, "Tell your story, even if no one believes you." Because someone else with the same story needs to know they're not alone. To hear the story of one another is to walk each other home. For me, home is finding peace and joy within, then being able to share it. Thank you.
Every week in this congregation, we are provided with an opportunity to practice generosity. This is your invitation to contribute to the well-being of our congregation and to our social justice partners through the good works of organizations which receive half of the monies collected each month. Our Share the Plate recipient for the month of March is Planned Parenthood of Northern, Central, and Southern New Jersey, the clinic closest to us being in Shrewsbury. Planned Parenthood is passionate about ensuring diversity, equity, and inclusion in their employees and patients, and in building an environment where every employee and every patient can thrive. The organization is under dire financial restrictions at present and in need of all the help we can provide. For those of you present here in the meeting house, the plates will be passed by the ushers. You may also join this time of generosity via text, send your offering by mail, or charge your contribution online with a memo designating an amount to Planned Parenthood. Please give generously.
I am, as I know, are we all deeply thankful to Melissa for sharing from her heart in this political climate, from her inescapably broken heart. Republican operatives spent an astonishing $222 million on anti-trans, on anti-LGBTQ plus advertising in the 2024 cycle. $222 million, more than on housing, immigration, and the economy combined. And since Inauguration Day, there has been a drumbeat of discriminatory actions and executive orders against trans Americans, refusing to issue passports reflecting applicants' accurate gender identities, attacking providers of gender-affirming care, banning trans service members from the military, preventing schools from supporting students who transition, eliminating protections against spying on LGBTQ plus citizens, regulating bathroom use, benching trans kids from sports, transferring trans women into men's prisons, targeting LGBTQ plus civil servants, and deleting references to trans and non-binary people on government websites, from the State Department and the CDC to the Park Services page for the Stonewall National Monument, a monument commemorating an uprising led by, in great part, transgender women. This all stemmed from the moment, hours into the first day on the job, when an executive order was signed recognizing male and female as the only two sexes. Framed as a move to protect women from gender ideology extremism, the order states that female means a person belonging at conception to the sex that produces the large reproductive cell, and male, meaning a person belonging at conception to the sex that produces the small reproductive cell. Of course, as Northwestern professor of law Kara N. Engelhardt reminds us, the order actually seeks to weaken long-standing protections for transgender, intersex, and non-binary people through encouraging discrimination against people and communities in spaces like access to government identity documents, healthcare, prisons, schools, public accommodations, workplaces, and more, and does so through harmful and misinforming language. Before moving to discuss how obtusely wrong the order is on biology, it is important to note that it is also weak legally. The Human Rights Campaign reminds us that executive actions do not have the authority to override the United States Constitution, federal statutes, or established legal precedent. Many of the recent directives do just that, or attempt to, or are regarding matters over which the president does not have control. On its own, executive orders do not change the existing discrimination protections under Title 7, Title 9, and other regulations and guidance previously promulgated through legal procedures. From a biological standpoint, and this will occupy the rest of my remarks this morning, or nearly all, Dr. Eve Feinberg, professor of obstetrics and gynecology at Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine, comments, "We refer to conception as fertilization, and nobody is male or female at fertilization. Everybody has some combination of X and Y chromosomes, but it's not until between 9 and 13 weeks of gestation that formation of the internal reproductive organ begins, and this is not a binary male or female pathway." In point of fact, while anatomical sex would perhaps appear to be more clear-cut compared to socioculturally held differences of gender, where exactly to draw the line between male and female is rather complicated. And the truth is that much of how anatomical sex is understood is based on the gender assigned at birth rather than on any determinative investigation of the various factors that go into how sex is seen to be evidenced: internal organs, outer organs, chromosomal karyotype, hormone preponderance, or so-called secondary sex characteristics: thick body, thick facial hair, fine body, fine facial hair, wide shoulders, wide hips, hips to shoulder ratio, deep or high-pitched voice, breast size. The most common gender alignment surgery has happened without children's, or sometimes even their parents' consent, for at birth it is sometimes not clear from the visual evidence of external genitalia what sex to assign a child. Historically, a lack of visually unambiguous anatomical genital data has been thought to constitute a medical emergency. Ironically, given the desire for fixed sex answers, the solution to this crisis has been performed with an implicitly fluid sense of the performativity of gender. Physicians have made a judgment call about the gender coding toward which the child should be reared, and then have surgically manipulated the external evidence to conform to what becomes the official story told about and to the child. Implicit in this idea is that precisely a sense of the malleability of gender, often held to be fixed, for parents and doctors collude in raising children to embody genders that may well be at odds with their chromosomal makeup or internal organs. This happens more frequently than most know. Intersex babies represent 1.7% of all births worldwide. That's 2.3 million babies a year. The point is that even sex, apart from or seemingly prior to gender, is itself a performed state, sometimes requiring surgery, hormonal replacement treatments, and intentionally redirected gender-coded parenting. Counterintuitively, beliefs about gender produce the concepts of the sex of the body rather than the other way around. Culturally sanctioned notions of gender become retrojected to inform ideas of how the sex differ. In reality, however, narratives of what constitutes male and what constitutes female and how they are different from one another have radically changed over the course of history, and so can themselves be seen as cultural artifacts of time and place. The fact is that all persons, not merely intersex individuals, possess differing degrees of maleness and femaleness. Not all assigned at birth males end up having wide shoulders, coarse body hair, or low-pitched voices. Neither do all assigned at birth females have wide hips, fine body hair, or high-pitched voices. Children, almost by definition, have no secondary sex characteristics. Infertile or postmenopausal persons, or those missing markers of sex, also have no secondary sex characteristics. The way a body responds to varying levels of hormones over a lifetime is its own kind of fingerprint. And male and female and secondary sex characteristics associated with anatomical sex are embodied by persons with varied external genitalia. Across world species, separate sexes are not the rule. Biologist Joan Roughgarden reminds us that one widely used definition of sex, with male meaning producing small gametes and female meaning producing large gametes, does not account for the many species in which gametes are the same size, even though they reproduce sexually. Another widely held definition of sex, where if a single body makes only sperm during its lifespan, it's male, and if only eggs, it is female, doesn't take into account species in which a single body produces both eggs and sperm during its lifespan. And this accounts for a full third among all animal species, excluding insects. In the past 2 decades, scientists have gained access to the DNA of individual human cells, and it is now clear that so-called sex chromosomal makeup in individual cells isn't necessarily concordant throughout the body. At the cellular level, people have mosaicism. They develop from a single fertilized egg but become a patchwork of cells with different genetic makeup, sometimes with differently configured chromosomal karyotypes. Other people can exhibit degrees of chimerism, the result of combinations of cells having been derived from the mashup of what originally had been separate fertilized eggs later merged in the womb. Widespread is a kind of microchimerism, which happens when stem cells from the fetus cross over the placenta into the mother's body and vice versa, resulting in a preponderance of males carrying cells originally belonging to their mothers, and likely differently sexed than the majority of their own. It should be said that the preponderance of transgender persons have been shown to have the chromosomal, organ, and hormonal makeup expected based on their sex assigned at birth, which has led to the attempt by many different strands of society, anatomists, physiologists, endocrinologists, brain scientists, to find out why a person with biological markers habitually assigned to a discrete sex would feel the disconnect between that sex and their inner sense of gender identity. There are no conclusive studies indicating varying brain structure or function between transgender persons and the rest of the population, nor is there any discernible correlation of a transgender person's brain with typical brains of persons sharing their identified sex. Further, men's and women's brains are virtually identical, and there is greater variability within brains of one gender than between those of men and women. Bottom line, what is thought of as sex is as socially constructed as the matrices of gender culturally attached to anatomy. When asked to determine what the sex of an individual is, anatomy, hormones, chromosomes, cells, Eric Villain, director of the Center for Genetic Medicine Research at Children's National Health System, replied, "My feeling is that since there is not one biological parameter that takes over every other parameter, at the end of the day, gender identity seems to be the most reasonable parameter. If you want to know whether someone is male or female, it may be best just to ask. It may be best just to ask, or frankly, it may be best not to ask, because another person's genetic makeup is not any of our business." Perhaps it would be best to decide to love another person, no matter their sex and gender makeup and/or identities. Maybe it should really be about love. I'd like to move toward concluding by sharing a recent interchange between a letter writer and my UU colleague, the Reverend Sean Neil Barron, co-minister of Foothills Unitarian in Fort Collins, Colorado. The letter arrived. To whom it may concern, we can now rejoice that there is a voice of reason in our government regarding genders, publicly acknowledging the human nature truth that there are simply two of them, male and female. The letter writer goes on to opine about a local dismissed legal case where parents sued when their middle schooler attended a meeting of the school's Genders and Sexualities Alliance without having consulted them first. The letter writer continues, we can be grateful that the law office of Pam Bondi is heading up the family's legal case, where the school district attempted to transgender their daughter. What kind of Christian love is that? And the letter writer ends with, directed directly at Reverend Sean, rationally speaking, you should know better than to affirm such action. This was his response. Dear letter writer, you didn't leave a return address, but if you did, this is what I would say. There is a love wider than fear, deeper than control, and queerer than we were ever taught to expect. A love that delights in people becoming more themselves, not less. A love that whispers to every trans and non-binary kid, you are real. You are holy. You are enough. And while many UUs aren't Christian, I can still answer the question you pose. What kind of Christian love affirms trans kids? The kind that actually listens to Jesus. The kind that knows fear isn't faith. The kind that understands love was never meant to be a cage. It was meant to set us free. And here's the truth. A child discovering who they are is not a tragedy. A child being safe enough to tell the truth is not a threat. A child being met with love instead of shame is not abuse. But denying them that love, that is a tragedy. That is a threat to their dignity. That is abuse. So here's my street corner megaphone sermon. Life is vast. Love is vaster. And if your faith has to erase someone to feel safe, it's not faith, it's fear. But good news, my dear letter writing friend, there's a better way. It's big and bright and free. And whether you believe it or not, you are already held in that love. May you know it someday. May you let it in. May you freaking sparkle. It's about love. Regarding transgender, non-binary, intersex, and all gender-diverse people, we cisgender folk have a choice. We can operate from a place of radical welcome and affirmation, with love at the center of all that we do, or not. I trust that we will choose to follow the path of love. May it be so. I invite us into a time of prayer and meditation this morning with a recasting of Psalm 23 in the language of love. This adaptation was done by my UU minister colleague, the Reverend Kevin Tarsa. As we live into love being at the center of all we do, I think its words are worth meditating on. So, breathe, I tell myself. May I remember in this tender moment that love is my guide, always, shepherding me toward ways of openness and compassion. I have what I need, really, with love at my side, above me, below me, in front of me, behind me, inside every cell of me. Love infused everywhere. Just when the weight of the world I inhabit threatens to drop me in place and press my hope down into the ground beneath me, love invites me to rest for a gentle while and leads the center of my soul to the quiet, still, restoring waters nearby that somehow I had not noticed. And so, love, quietly, sets me once again on its tender and demanding path. Even when the walls close around me and the cries of death echo through untold corners, gripping my heart with fear and sadness, I know that all will be well, that I will be well. When love whispers near to me, glints at the corner of my eye, rests with gentle and persistent invitation upon my shoulders. Yes, love blesses me, even as the sources and symbols of my pain look on. Love blesses me from its infinite well, and I turn and notice that goodness and kindness and grace follow me everywhere I go. I live in a house of love that will not let me go. I live in a house of love and always will. Amen. And now I invite us to rise in body and or spirit to sing our closing hymn. It's number 146 in our hymnals and on the screens. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether on that day thunder clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and our vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and a promise to make a new start. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Our closing words of benediction come to us from the Reverend Julia Corbett Haymeyer, community minister at the UU Church of Muncie, Indiana. In the face of hate, we answer the call of love. In the face of exclusion, we answer the call of inclusion. In the face of homophobia, in the face of transphobia, we answer the call of LGBTQ plus rights. In the face of racism, we answer the call of justice. In the face of xenophobia, we answer the call of pluralism. In the face of misogyny, we answer the call of women's rights. In the face of demagoguery, we answer the call of reason. In the face of religious intolerance, we answer the call of diversity. In the face of narrow nationalism, we answer the call of global community. In the face of bigotry, we answer the call of open-mindedness. In the face of despair, we answer the call of hope. As Unitarian Universalists, we answer the call of love. Now, perhaps more than ever, let us go in peace to bless a world that needs our love.